Welcome once again to my program. Always happy to have you out there listening, and it's always a pleasure for myself to be here. It's been quite a week, and actually it's been quite a night. But show must go on, as they say in Hollywood, in show business. I have as a guest a fairly regular guest. Been on many times before, and what we're going to talk about is the City Council meeting last night and other things that have to do with the city of Fall River. And remember, this is election year, so people need to pay attention to what's going on and then decide who they're going to vote for. So, CJ, welcome once again. I haven't seen you in about, what, 2 weeks?
About that. It was a busy day for me too. I had my show this morning, and you know, we obviously had some problems, technical difficulties with our production. And then I had to go out to Freetown, and I had to shoot their selection meeting.
What happened out there?
Oh, well, they were trying to fire their town treasurer, and a lot of back and forth on it. I guess they were trying to violate the law and not have the formal hearing and just remove her and then put in a new temporary treasurer. They did put the temporary treasurer in, which also was in violation of Mass General Law, but it's another mess happening in Freetown, and we know Freetown, like Fall River, has its own shenanigans that are always going on. So luckily I stopped in and I get to do the Richard Urban Show.
Yeah, you know, fortuitous night for both of us. Let me ask you about a little situation in Tiverton, Rhode Island. The news last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, it really
talk
is
about a casino.
I know, and it really is amazing because when you start looking at what's going on, first off, let's go back a couple of weeks. Terry Sullivan brought to the City Council a contract to sell water and sewerage to this particular area of Tiverton, but nobody knew why.
Oh.
Nobody knew why, okay? Cut rate deal, best price under the sun. Because guess what? We got plenty of water. We're going to sell it. A couple of weeks after that, Tiverton announces, or I should say, Newport Grand, also known as Twin River, announces that they're going to move a casino to Tiverton.
So you think there's a connection there?
Of course there was. They can't open a casino without water and the sewerage.
A lot of water.
There's no
a lot of sewerage.
Right, and there's no place to put a cesspool that large. So they get the water, they get the sewerage. Now they're going to put the casino there, and everything's moving along just fine. Gina Raimondo says it needs to go there. The only
why does she think it needs to go there?
Because it will be a full casino, not just
table games,
not just slots. It'll be table games. It'll be everything. So, and we need to put it right there because Fall River, New Bedford, one of these areas is going to get a casino. We know right now it's not going to be Fall River. So we look at that, and she says, if we don't put one there, we're going to lose that money to the South Coast. So we need to put one there.
They'll draw that money from Fall River.
Exactly.
That's the market.
That's the market. And
they don't have to give Fall River a nickel.
They don't have to give a nickel.
Because it's in it.
Right. But they are giving us a nickel. They're buying our water for cheap cut rate money.
Yeah.
And our sewerage. And it's 400 yards. 400 yards, 1,200 feet. You and I can walk that with our eyes closed. Okay?
So people in the South End can just walk over the border?
Walk over the border, and there you are.
Now that, I guess the buses will be running day and night, bringing people over there from the city?
Exactly.
High stakes bingo, card games, poker.
Yeah, you're going to see everything going on over there. Now, the real kicker is this. Environmental Mayor C. Samuel Sutter, and we can call him that because, as we know, he has gone to Washington speaking on the environment. He has gone to court against the people who blocked the delivery of coal to the power plant, and he dismissed that case with prejudice, by the way. That means it can never be brought back up again. Oh, wait, I'm talking to a lawyer.
No, go ahead. You're doing all right.
But some of your viewers don't know this. And then he comes out, and in 23 hours after the announcement, the city decides it has standing because Sucker Brook, I love the name of it, which runs right through the middle of this land, this 45 acres of land, is owned by the city of Fall River.
Well, you know, I understand what you're saying, but if they don't touch the water, if they do everything possible around the water, matter of fact, it would probably add a nice attraction to the whole area, because you'd have a little brook trickling through with maybe walkways over it and some little benches and paths. People throwing coins in, wishing they could hit a million.
Can't do that, you'll be
bucks.
polluting the water. You'll be creating cupric acid
I
in the
don't know
water.
at this point what Fall River really could do.
The thing that gets me is it took the mayor and his crack team of people less than 24 hours to find out and to get all the legal decisions, which go back to the early 1800s, that belongs to us. And it's
Yeah.
not the land. It's not the land that belongs to us. Let's make it very clear. It's the water. We own the water. We don't own the land.
Yeah, we have the rights. That water comes from
Stafford Pond.
Pond,
And it goes and feeds into South Watapa.
South Water.
Therefore, it's our water.
Yeah.
We have the riparian rights.
Well, as long as they don't touch the water, I don't.
Well, hey, the mayor says no, because they'll put it in a pipe. Don't say it's not good because we did it to the Quikasham.
Well, it might not be a good idea, be that easy to put it in a pipe, because that is Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Right.
So, and that is not Fall River, Massachusetts.
No, but what I'm saying is Tiverton may turn around and say, okay, we're not going to touch your water. We're going to put it in a pipe and we're going to dump it right down into the South Watapa. Therefore, we've
But other
Killed
than
your
that,
argument.
which I think is a red herring, to tell you the truth, I don't think
I believe so too.
that's just.
But the thing that gets me is this mayor, remember people, this is your mayor. Your mayor has publicly come out against jobs for Fall River. Let's push the hot button issue, jobs. Okay, Mr. Mayor, you said you don't want a casino there. But I'll bet you if we were putting a casino in at the Harbor Mall right now, you'd be all for it.
Okay, so
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. I guess a lot of people, or some people, would actually work at the casino.
Correct.
People living in Fall River. But all in all, that casino would not benefit Fall River that much, because
just jobs.
Tiverton would be the, the home of the casino. Tiverton would get the host fee. That casino, as far as I know, would not have to give a nickel to Fall River, because Fall River's in another state, has no jurisdiction over what goes
Correct.
on in Tiverton. And matter of fact, that casino doesn't have to give one job to anyone who lives in Fall River.
No, they don't.
It doesn't want to.
They don't.
So, well, anyway, you were at the last night, City Council, they met.
The committee meeting on ordinance, yes.
Wasn't a
interesting
regular meeting.
No, it was a committee meeting on ordinance.
Ordinance.
Started at 5:30. It ended a little after probably 8:45.
8:45.
Yeah.
Long meeting.
It ran very long. It did. It ran very long. And a lot of people showed up. They wanted to put some input in. They wanted to be heard. And the thing that people forget about committee meetings is the committee is not obliged by any stretch of the imagination or word or law to give citizens input time. They don't have to listen to us, okay? Councilor Correa chose to allow citizens some time for input.
Now, what was the big issue? I mean, 3 hours or more?
Pay as you throw.
That's still, it's
Still a hot button issue in Fall River.
All right, let me get to the big question. Did they pass any kind of ordinance?
Yes, they did, 3-2.
3-2.
Ray Mitchell, Pat Casey, and Paul De Silva voted to send this to the city council with a recommendation for passage. Jazel Correa and Dan Rigo voted no.
Okay, what was the reason, briefly,
Well, I think there was a lot of things that went
they
on.
didn't vote for it? Why did they vote against?
Well, there were a lot of things that went on, okay? Number one, the ordinance that was proposed and that has been now passed on to the city council for approval with full recommendation is that the generator of the trash is responsible for the fines.
The generator of the trash.
Of the trash.
Okay, so,
But there's no way in that ordinance on how to determine the generator of the trash.
Mr. Tennant, who's sitting there and he's throwing his pizza boxes and et cetera into the trash, and he doesn't use a purple bag, how are they gonna determine who actually put the trash into the bin?
That's what we asked. And that's what Councilor Correa asked. How do you determine who the generator of the trash is? Now, that was one reason. But I think what was very clear and spoke volumes to Councilor Correa and Councilor Rigo was when Corporate Counsel Gary Howiak said very clearly, Mr. Counselor, Mr. Chairman, you approved pay-as-you-throw. You approved it. This is your project. And the committee chair said no. The mayor told us when he was sitting in that chair, and actually Mike Mioza said when he was sitting in that chair where Councilor Rigo was sitting, the mayor said this is going to happen whether you like it or not. That was then Mayor Flanagan.
Okay, right, and Councilor Mioza is not on the ordinance committee.
No, he was there as a city councilor and as a committee chair for the solid waste task force.
But that seems to be an accurate depiction of what took place.
It was, but the thing that they failed to recognize, that they approved a budget that had the revenue from pay-as-you-throw
Included.
and the project hadn't even been put forward yet. The project hadn't even been approved. The project hadn't been activated.
Pay-as-you-throw.
So, right, and they had already said that's money that we have to count on. How can you vote on a budget? How can you vote on money that you have no idea where it's coming from?
Yeah, that was,
And Councilor Mioza and Council Chairman
Joe Camaro.
Correa turned around and said, I feel very uncomfortable with the fact that you're saying that we approved this. Because Council Chairman Correa said, this is the mayor's project.
You mean the ordinance committee chair?
Yeah, the ordinance committee chair. He's the council chair. And he said, no, this is the mayor's project. And they said, no, it's not. This is the city council's project. You approved it in the budget. Now, Chip Camara and myself.
So in other words, what he was basically saying that is, without your approval of the budget, you acquiesced to
Correct.
the underlying pay-as-you-throw scheme, so that you're responsible for it also.
Right, and the worst part about it is, because Chip and I had spoken to this last year, to this issue, and there is case law on it. And they don't understand that it's case law, okay? When you look back at the Attleboro situation with the Attleboro Fire Department, a contract was approved by the mayor of Attleboro. It was then sent to the City Council of Attleboro for approval, for funding. The council said, no, we're not funding it. That made that contract non-binding on the city. It's only binding on the mayor. If it's not funded, it doesn't happen. They took it in and they said, no, if the council doesn't approve it, it doesn't happen. You got to take it back to arbitration. You got to re-arbitrate this. You got to renegotiate it. And that's exactly what they had to do. And then they brought it back, and then the city council approved it. And the case law on it is that once the council approves it, you are bound to the contract.
Well,
And that's what happened when they approved the budget.
I know what you're saying, but they never approved the contract, and I guess that's what they're...
Actually, they did.
Well,
They approved.
there was never a contract before.
No, there was. Waste Zero has a contract with the city.
But that was between a Waste Zero and the mayor.
That was between Waste Zero, Mayor Flanagan, Ken Pacheco, Liz Souza, and the city. Once the city council approved the funding of that contract, because remember, that contract has a fee that must be paid. They approved the payment of that contract. They acquiesced. They approved pay-as-you-throw.
That's what Attorney Gary Halliwak is saying.
Correct.
And J.J. Carrere and Dan Rigo is saying no.
Well, Dan Rigo didn't kick us, like you said. I didn't vote for this budget.
So he's really in the clear.
He's in the clear. The other 7, not 8 here, 7, voted for it.
Okay, so-
And I told Councilor Mioza and Councilor Mitchell last night, you did this. I'm going to hold the other 5 blameless because you know what? They're nitwits.
Well,
Okay? Because they voted for it. They had voted for it beforehand. You guys did not. You met with Kathy Ann, and you were the 2 votes that were necessary to bring it over the top. And therefore, she got those 2 votes from you. Well, we had to do it because we would have went to 112. If you would have went to 112 budgeting, okay, that wouldn't have lasted more than 30 days, and we know that.
okay, all right, so pay-as-you-throw was one of the main issues, obviously, it seems.
And fees.
Who else, did you address the ordinance?
I was the last person to address
So, but was it
the
all
committee.
about pay-as-you-throw?
No. They addressed the fees, the DPW fees first. Now to get rid of a a queen-size mattress or a bed mattress or whatever you want to call it, it costs the city $14 to get rid of, so now they're going to charge $20 to get rid of the mattress.
So you put a mattress out
Okay,
there, you
it's gonna
have to
cost you
get
$20.
a sticker on the
Yep.
mattress.
And it's going to
that-
cost you $20.
$20, so
Right. And
we see a lot of mattresses throughout the city
well, and you know the
without
thing.
stickers.
And the thing is that people are like, oh, well, look at this. It's only cost you $14 and da da da. I said, and I can understand where Kenny's coming from because we're still giving people 3 items for 12. It doesn't cost $4 to get rid of a sofa. It doesn't cost $4 to get rid of,
Yeah.
a bed frame. But that's what they're being charged still.
Well, let me ask you this. Has there been any discussion about maybe hiring like a contractor to pick up this stuff? Just specifically the bulky items?
No.
Where these things can be recycled. I mean, a mattress is a mattress, I understand, but it has, cotton in there, there's metal in there, you have refrigerators and stoves, et cetera. Maybe it's not necessary for the city to be picking up these items.
Oh,
But
I
someone,
agree.
you know,
I agree. And most bedding companies, Cardi's, Jordan's,
they take the old one.
they take the old mattress when they give you the new one. That's their cost of doing business.
Yeah.
And they get rid of it. So if they're already doing that, most people won't have to worry about an increase in mattress disposal fees. But, that was just a small issue. Once we got to the pay-as-you-throw, or what we call the Section 62, okay, which is solid waste in Fall River, portion of the meeting, we allowed people to speak. And you know what? I may not like the actions of several members of the city council. I may not agree with what they're saying, but I respect the office of city council. I may not respect the man or the woman, but I respect the office. It's just like the President of the United States. You may
Okay.
not like the president, but you respect the office.
So, getting to solid waste?
Right.
All right.
So,
All right, that was the bulky items.
right,
All right. Well,
that first part was the bulky items.
anything else that was brought before? I mean, 3 hours,
Well, the majority of the meeting was held around pay-as-you-throw.
pay-as-you-throw. That has been an albatross.
It's
I
a
mean,
huge
7 months,
mistake.
8 months?
And I again asked the council to address them. And prior to the meeting, I approached committee chair Jazel Correa, and I said to him, I would greatly appreciate it if you could extend the amount of time given to me so that I can present this information very clearly. I said, this is very neutral. I said, this is the DEP regulations. This is the law. This is the rule. This is what we have to go by. And right away, Councilor Rigo said, limit your presentation to 2.5 minutes. You get 180 seconds at the city council meeting. You barely got enough time to thank the council president, and introduce yourself. This was important information.
Okay, so that's going to be the next city council meeting next Tuesday?
Correct.
All right, and this will go to the city council for discussion with recommendation to
To approve.
approve. All right, to approve what?
To approve pay-as-you-throw.
Well, yeah.
Let me, pay-as-you-throw, that the purple bags must be used with a green bin. I mean, they got very specific with the ordinance. With a green bin. And that all recycling sans the plastic shopping bags, the bags you get at Stop and Shop and Shaw's, and sans those bags, you can't put those in there, because if you do, you're fined, can go into the recycling,
The blue bin.
into the blue bin. No trash is to go into the blue bin, you get a fine,
That's recycling.
and no recycling is to go into the trash bin. That's a fine.
Okay. Now, DPW goes down the road, it's collection day, south end, usually on a Monday. They see the bin out there, chock full of white bags. But the ordinance is not in effect as we speak.
Correct.
Okay, so, but let me get to a future date. And once again, it's chock full of white bags. What happens? Based on what you heard last
The
night.
way the ordinance is written, your trash pickup can be stopped.
Stop, okay.
The city does not have to pack up your trash and get rid of it. Okay? And that is left to the discretion of the director of DCM.
To do what?
Otherwise known as Campochico, on whether or not to pick up the trash.
Well, let's say they, let's get beyond picking up the trash or not picking up the trash. Is there a fine
Yes.
attached?
The fine attached is $100 the first time, $200 the second time, $300 the third time. Now here's where we get into some funny information on the fines.
Okay, let me just interject 1 second. So,
Sure.
these bins are in front of a 6-family house. You get all these white bags. Who is going to be assessed the fine?
The generator of the trash, according to the ordinance.
And how are they going to determine that?
Well, that was the question I had. The DCM employees are not allowed to go through the bags. They are not allowed to rip them open, they're not to go through them, they're not to search for anything. That's a safety issue. The reason being is, say somebody puts in a used syringe or a used razor and someone gets cut on it or gets stuck by it. You don't know who the source was for that. So you have to institute hepatitis and HIV protocols.
So who's going to look in there? So how are they going to make
The
this?
white bags will be taken back to the city garage where personnel, properly garmented, will go through the bags to find identifying information.
Okay, so it's one of those things.
Yes.
All right, so if you've got an electric bill in there, or if you've got a Visa bill in there and it's Joe Schmo, they're going to be knocking on Joe Schmo's door, or they're going to be sending him a fine for $100. How is that going to work?
Well, that's the thing. They're going to mail you the fine. Okay?
All right.
Now, this is where the big question came in about fines. City Administrator Kathy Ann Viveris and Assistant City Clerk Inez Leet was asked, how many unpaid fines do we have in Fall River? Civil fines, because civil fines are handled differently than criminal infractions. We have, as of Friday, this past Friday, $342,045 since 2008
In
in
fines.
unpaid civil fines. That could be for a piece of paper being thrown out the window.
Litter?
Okay? Litter. That could be because you put a bulky item on the street and didn't pay the $10 or whatever the fee was to get rid of it.
So
Most
it
of those
seems like a
fines-
lot of money and
Right,
a
most of
long
those fines are
time.
Section 62 fines.
That, 2008, that's 7 years ago, and those fines haven't been collected. So why do they think that, or maybe I should ask, do they believe that these fines that they might levy for pay-as-you-throw infractions are going to be collectible?
Well, they can't collect $342,000 in 7 years. And when questioned on that, Kathy Ann said, we have no system in place to enforce collection. What would it take? Well, we need a computerized system that actually puts these on a system so that we have a payable system, which their audit report said they have no payable system.
So here we have, gee, this show is really
Went right by.
going by fast. So, you get the trash out there, people are, not adhering to the pay-as-you-throw, the purple bags, the fines are issued, and they're not paid. What happens after that? Are they
They don't have a procedure or a policy or anything in place
no
to
mechanism?
enforce the enforcement. And the real kicker is that Kathy Ann Viveris lied through her teeth yesterday because she turned around and said that the pay-as-you-throw program currently has a $500,000 shortfall. That's why they needed to move $500,000 from other accounts to solid waste. But when I did the math, you can do it with me here, $500,000
You do it.
transfer from other accounts of the city to solid waste, $200,000 in grants, and $221,000 in retained earnings. Doesn't that equal $921,000 to you? That's my math.
Yeah, go ahead.
Her math says 500,000.
All right. CJ, I want to make a couple announcements. It's always a pleasure to have you on my
Oh, it's always a
program.
pleasure to be here.
I want to let the audience know that we've got the Miller Monument celebration, memorial celebration coming up. That's on May Day. That's Memorial Day. That's a Monday. It'll be 11:30 at the intersection of South Main and Shove Street. That's where the monument is. It's in honor of Corporal David Miller, who was served in World War II. He was in the Philippines. He was captured by the Japanese, put on the Bataan Death March, luckily survived, whereas 4,000 or 5,000 Americans and Filipinos were murdered on the way to the prisoner of war camps. There, Corporal Miller died in a prisoner of war camp, and his body was never returned to the United States. So the monument celebration and that place there, the ground, is pretty sacred. So that's 11:30, Memorial Day, open to the public, of course, and I'd like to see you there. And I want to let everybody know that this Friday, Diamond is going to have, or be part of what they call Skills USA. This is going to be held in Marlboro, and Diamond does well each and every time that they compete. So a few things that you can take, remember. CJ, thank you for filling in.
And we'll be seeing you next week for the panel show.
Yeah.
This is getting to be a habit.
Well, you want to get the news out to the public.
Hey, we have to. And I would ask that the public come out on Tuesday to the city council meeting and voice your opinion. Pro or con, come out and let them hear what you have to think. Be respectful and let them know your opinion.
Okay, CJ, thank you out there for watching, and we'll see you next time.